Well, I was educated as an economist and military background, military officer. Served in Baghdad, trained Iraqi troops overseas, 04, 05. I was hurt during that year, so I got put out of the military medically in early 06. So after that, I started doing contracting jobs, small business, worked on oil rigs for a couple of years, did some investigative work down through South Texas, different geographies of the state, been exposed to a lot of the different industries, and understanding how money works. And I joke with people, you know, I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you what to do with your money, but I can tell you how money works in an economy and how it's influenced. And if you treat it, you know, honestly, money will treat you honestly. If you try and manipulate what money's trying to tell you, you're gonna be in for a surprise. In order, it would be property taxes, public education, and economic development. On property taxes, and this is something that, you know, it's kind of like, you know, since it's the premier issue of the county, it's also something that, you know, I actually have a pretty good handle on, is the core issue of property taxes is there's no obstacle to prevent misuse. You know, there's nothing to slow it down. You know, they have these little caps and stuff, but commissioners' courts, school boards, though, they have the ability to raise valuations on properties. So even if you're at the age of 65 or your tax rates are locked in, all they have to do is simply increase the value of your home and apply the same locked-in rate. Well, over the course of time, if you're on a fixed income, which typically we are when we're in retirement, you're going to pay more and more and more. And I think that would be acceptable to the general public if they were really seeing more and more results for their tax dollars. But when, you know, almost 70% of your property taxes go to an organization like KISD, and you're not seeing the benefits of that, you're like, why are we throwing away more money? Why are we putting more money towards a problem, and we're not seeing any resolution or solution? So my ideas on that are twofold. One is I think we should lock in property tax rates at the date of purchase, and this accomplishes a couple things. The first thing it accomplishes is that it allows you as a family to budget longer term. If you know how much taxes you're going to spend this year, how much next year, you can figure out how much you want to make in principal payments, how much you want to put into savings, how much you want to do, well, it's your money, whatever you want to do with it. But secondly is it forces government to spend from an existing pot that it will not get bigger. So government now has to spend what it has efficiently and accomplish the same services that it's been required to provide to the public. The second option, though, is what I'd like to see is we need to shift more towards a sales tax-based system. Sales taxes more accurately reflect the health of an actual economy, whether it's, you know, state, local, federal. Sales tax-based systems work. When you go into property taxes, if you shift away from property taxes, go to sales tax, you'll be able to determine, hey, you know what, we're actually doing better or we're doing worse based on the amount of money we're getting from sales tax. So you measure your economic health. Now, why this is important is state of Texas gets 8.25% in sales tax. And they reimburse the county level governments one of that, and city level governments about 1.5% of that. So out of 8.25, they get 5.75%. What I would like to do is reduce the state's allocation from 5.75 down to 5.25, a 0.5%, approximately 8% reduction in sales tax that goes to the state of Texas, and reallocate that equally towards the county governments and towards the municipal governments. So quantified, what that would do for Bell County, for example, is that would increase the sales tax receipts coming back from the state of Texas by about $8 million annually, and nobody's taxes got raised. And for a city government, specifically like Killeen, you're looking at about a $9 million reimbursement in sales tax revenue. And again, nobody's taxes got raised. So no one's taxes got raised. We have more funding for local government. But also, local governments are going to look at this and say, hey, if we're more based on a sales tax system and we're making more money based on a sales tax revenue than we were on property taxes, let's keep shifting and pushing for economic development and get people figure out ways to how to get people to spend money inside our geographic boundaries, whether it's Bell County, Coppers Cove, Harker Heights, Killeen, wherever. But if they're going to make more money on a sales tax system, let's encourage that and promote that and give them an incentive to do so. I think long term we're looking at balancing budgets, encouraging efficient spending, and allowing citizens to benefit by doing those two things: locking in our property tax rates, forcing government to do what they're supposed to do, which is provide services as efficiently as possible, and also encouraging economic development through manipulating the sales tax system and telling Texas to basically suck it up. They'll go from a $230 billion budget to about $219 billion. So they got to figure out how to make up for an $11 billion shortfall in their next year's budget while the local budgets are balanced. And that's a problem I would love to tackle as a state legislature, and a problem I would love to solve for our communities. Well, aside from the service record, I have extensive volunteer experience, down the coast during hurricanes and stuff. I was a member of the Cajun Navy, or not Cajun Navy, Cajun Army, which is the guys that come through after they pull everybody out of these areas. They go in through, they feed, they do medical support, they provide initial physical assistance, demolition houses and stuff like that, rescue pets, all sorts of stuff. So that type of thing is it's something I've really found a passion for. It's something I felt as a human being. It's just something I owed my other fellow Americans, my fellow Texans. And then the service record on top of that, above the obvious, I'm the only one that actually has any military experience. Beyond that, any combat experience. But that's not why you should vote for me. You shouldn't vote for me because I'm a combat vet. You shouldn't vote for me because I'm any number of things. You should vote for me because you've researched me, you've looked into my ideas, and you can believe in what I'm trying to sell. And you see the advantage of those ideas and how it'll help you and your family and the community as a whole. I don't believe in setting up what we call what I'll refer to as special interests. I've had a lot of questions like, what are you going to do for Hispanics, or what are you going to do for black business owners, or what are you going to do for churches? Any of these types of questions you field, and the answer is I'm not going to do anything for specific groups. What government needs to do is get out of the special interest lobby, the special interest racket, if you will, and to make policies that are equally fair to every individual under which they're responsible for, regardless of their race, gender, sexual orientation, or religious preference.